Hi, it's Mike here from Willow Media. Today I'm looking at how to use reactive forms with Angular. I'm going to build this simple form that will help us to understand how the reactive forms are put together. Reactive forms have RxJS connected to it under the hood, so we can do some useful things like seeing the information display as we type it in the form. This is the first part of 3 videos, and in future videos I will expand on this basic form with adding more complexity with different controls like a drop down and radio buttons. Right, let's get straight into it. First thing we need to do is make an Angular app. Do this by typing ng new and the name of the app that we want to call it. So I'm going to call it ang material. Now it's going to come up with some questions. Do we want Angular routing? I type yes, and I'll select SCSS. Now we want to add in the material components. And the next thing we need to do is add the animations, the CDK and the material library. But first we need to change into the directory where the program is. And then we can type ng add at Angular/material. I'll just pause the video for now. Alright, it's come up with a question of what theme, so I'll choose Indigo Pink. And we'll choose yes, yes. Okay, it's completed installing those packages. And then we'll go to the next step. Okay, now I've opened up the command prompt. And I'm going to type ng, G for generate, C for component, and the name of my component, which will be basic form. And now we should see that we have the basic form component files. For layout purposes, I'm going to define a couple of classes in the basic form style sheet. That will be for row and column. This will enable us to have rows and columns within the rows. Right, this basic form is going to have 2 input fields and a submit button. The first input field will be for an email address, and we'll be validating on a correct email format. And the second input will be a message box, which is just free text. But to do this, we need to import some classes from the Angular Forms library. And we'll do that there. And then we have to inject on the constructor a form builder. Next we have to define the form as a form group. And then in the ng on init lifecycle hook, we need to create the form from the form builder group with the 2 fields that we need. That's around the wrong way. Right. Now we'll switch to the HTML file and we'll add in the necessary HTML to build up the form. So the first thing we're going to need is a form tag. So we'll place one of those in there. And in the form tag, we need to set the attribute form group equal to my form, which is what we defined in the TS file. And then we want to grab the ng submit event and set that equal to a function that we haven't yet written in the TS file. Now for debugging purposes, we can output all of the form values as we type into this part of the page just by calling my form or interpolating on my form and the value and then piping that to JSON. Right, now we'll stick a horizontal rule between that. And the classes that I've created for rows and columns are now going to be used to split the fields across different rows. So we'll set a div class equal to row. And another class, sorry, another div with class equal to column. Col, sorry. Right, within this div, the col div, we're going to create a mat form field. This is where material is coming in to play. And we'll start off with the email. We'll create an input field of a type mat input. We'll have the placeholder showing as email, and this form control name links it back to the email in the form group. Now, in the form field here, we can have an error called defined by mat error tag, and this will show an error if the email is not of an incorrect format. If we switch over to the TS file, we can see here that the validator is for correct email format. So if someone types in an incorrect email, then this will show this message. Now we'll add the message box into the HTML form, which is a similar pattern to the email input box. We have a row and col class and divs, and then we have a mat form field with an input field of type mat input. Placeholder set to your message, and form control name links it back with being set to message to the form group. All right, we'll save that, and we'll have a look at the application in the browser. And we'll see that the email field, if we type it as a valid email address, will not complain. And if we type a message here, now if we type an invalid message, sorry, an invalid email, we can see the message comes up as invalid email address. The final thing we need to do is add the submit button to the HTML and wire up an onSubmit function to the click event handler. So first thing we'll do is add the HTML. This is the same kind of pattern with two divs of class row and col. And then in the middle of the col div we have a button tag with a mat raise button property a color property set to primary, and the type being submit, and then the text showing on the button as submit. We'll save that, and then we'll go to the TS file and we'll add the onSubmit handler. So it's already here at the moment, so we'll just add in some functionality with console log of the email address. And we can get the email address from myform.value.email. Save that. And we'll go to the browser and check it out. Alright, so if I type a valid email address, a message, and then if we submit it, we can see that we've collected the console logged the email address out. This ends the basic form tutorial, and in the next video we'll be looking at adding drop-down box, radio buttons, and showing and hiding input fields with buttons. And if you found this video useful and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much.